So welcome to Xongbaad. Xongbaad is a series of podcasts which will focus on the success stories of thought leaders in the social development sector. These thought leaders are from the government, from the community, and also sector experts who have been working to usher in social development. This podcast is a joint collaboration between SeSTA and LIVESSCAPE. Xongbaad's first guest is Dr. Jui Bhattacharya, who is the National Mission Manager in the National Rural Livelihoods Mission. In the mission, she is leading the Model Cluster Level Federation theme, which basically looks after setting standards across the country on how cluster level federations should be mobilized and also how they should function. So we understand that a lot of energy has been generated on the ground with the Rural Livelihoods Mission, from mobilizing a lot of women around self-help groups and federations. But it would really help us in understanding how things are happening on the ground. If you can give us your viewpoint as to what is happening on the ground in the Rural Livelihoods Mission.
So as you mentioned, that NRLM is the largest poverty elevation program, and thus we work with rural women. If we all know the struggle of the rural women, where they come from, and the space or the scope they get to, they don't get actually to express their ideas. And we also know that during SGSY, when collectives came into action and all, but there was a norm it was like male and female both can be together. So what happened in that case is that as male were also there in the group, so women didn't feel that comfortable to express their views and all. And again, they didn't get that platform. But the difference in NRLM is it's all women group. Initially, though, they are hesitant to come into groups because they had some negative experience. But then when we went to field and when generally they come, they gradually come into SHG fold where they feel they share their thought initially with each other and they feel that they have a space where they can share. So they gain confidence, they build that relationship between themselves. They feel a safer space where they can express their views. And gradually they come up with solidarity, they get that space, and then they come up with norms where they make that it will be shared responsibility, shared roles, accountability, and what are the rights and all these things. So from there they come up and they start with initially savings with very small amount, and gradually when they see that it is a certain amount which can be utilized for the certain purpose, so they start taking loans, mainly initially for consumption purpose, very small amount of loan from their savings itself for consumption purpose. And later on, when their corpus is also developed and they get some support from the mission as well as from the banks, then they start with higher order loans, which takes them to some livelihood activity, initially existing livelihood activity and then more. So in terms of number, if we see, then NRLM as on date has covered more than 10 crores of women, where more than 90 lakh SHGs are formed and around 4.78 lakh village level organizations are there, and then 27,000 CLFs are there. And all this institution together, they have received the fund of around 9.08 lakh crores, which is revolving within the institution, and this is much more when it is up to them. So they get this platform where they not only get to share their thoughts, they get the confidence, they get the financial support from which they can take some new activities. They also get the platform where they can share their achievements, individual achievement as well as the institutional achievement. There are many instances where the first time they celebrated their achievement, like birthday of SHGV or CLF. So that itself is a big achievement for them. And we have now so many women we have so many stories from them who have come out from a homemaker to now they are trainers who are even going to Labasna and taking sessions there. There are many people who are like even now going to some professionals sector. Even like recently we had an event where one of the SHG member did all the anchoring, which was where PM was the guest there. So this gives them confidence, and this also opened the opportunity for them to the outer world.
Yeah, so very fascinating to hear about these journeys at multiple levels. On one hand, you've got the journey of NRLM, where it has built upon the lessons learned in SGSY. And on the other hand, there is these fascinating journeys that the women are undertaking, where they enter into the system as a beneficiary and from there on become a member of their own organization, and finally reach to that stage where they feel like owners of their own organizations and in many ways owners of their own destinies. So that's really fascinating, and which brings me to the next area that I would want to take up with you, which is I understand with this huge mandate of collectivizing women in these federations, there must be stages in the way how this change happens. I mean, how does NRLM manage this learning from forming these first batch of CLFs and then extending them to the remaining areas? How does this all happen? If you can just throw some light on it.
Okay, so yeah, initially when SHGs are formed and then the first level federation, which is village level organization, form, and then CLF form. So like at every stages, there are different capacity building activities. So some through training, through some hand holding support during the meetings, some exposure visits, and that too to different key role those who are playing. Like initially in SHG, some trainings are for all the members, which talks about everyone's role and responsibility, rights and all. On the other hand, there are different training for the bookkeepers who maintain the books. Similarly, in the VO, there are different trainings for the EC as a whole, for the OB, those who are having some different role, and also for the staff, like the bookkeeper or so. Even during formation of VO also, like inputs are given why they have to come together to make higher collectives or federations, and then it goes to the CLF. Now initially when CLF were formed, those were done in only few states which are mature state who started initially. But then when other states started forming CLF, and that was a time when there was a pressure that we have to speed up our activity and all. So in many places, CLF were just formed, and we also could not give more stress on rigorous capacity building activities for the CLF. So as a result, we have as on date 27,000 CLF, but those are ideally not functioning the way we envisage them to function. Thus, the concept of Model CLF came into existence in 2017-18, initially under an NRITP project, but that time we thought we will do it in the entire country. So with the target of 1,000 CLF to be developed as Model CLF. Again, when we initiated the process, we started with 1,000, but it went on increasing the number, and as on date, we have 5,000 Model CLF. So the number has increased, the targeted number has increased, and it is increasing. But on the other hand, the resources which are required to develop them, I mean especially the human resources from the mission side, who would be capacitated enough to nurture them, to facilitate them to take their own decision or make the system in such a way that the CLF function in their own, that was not developed. And that is why there are different constraints for that. But as a result, what is happening, even those Model CLF, when we initiated the Model CLF advisory, even those Model CLF as on date, all the Model CLF are not functioning in the envisaged way. And in the race of increasing the numbers, that's how the efforts which are required are not being given. That's why now we have come up with an next idea of immersion site. Immersion site for Model CLF. So from among the 5,000 Model CLF, as it is already, this initiative is 6 to 7 years old, we have suggested all the states to identify at least 2, and if more, then go till 10, and to capacitate those handful of Model CLF in a way so that they function in the envisaged way. That is, they are managing their own function, they are having their own staff, they are managing their own staff, own finances, and they are also financially sustainable. So even where if states are having some resource crunch, we are advising, please channelize all the resources to this Model CLF to make them immersion site. Because and what are those immersion sites? Those are only such demonstration sites where other CLF can come and see how they are functioning, because we know seeing is believing. So when they see this, they also have a faith that we can do it. And why we are telling all the states? Because many a time it happened that in that state that is a content, so they can do, but we cannot do. So if all the state have at least 2 to 10 Model CLF as an immersion site, then the other CLF from the same state, they can go and visit, and even from other places also they can come, and they can gain from learning from this. So it will also generate cross learning. Through that, not only the mission staff but also the other department will know how federations is working. So thus this immersion site will be flag bearer, which will show their success, and this will also encourage other CLF to work accordingly and attain those stages. So yeah, that's it.
So it is quite informative to learn that there are so many well set processes and systems for the establishment of strong women-led, women-owned cluster level federations where the women can articulate, chalk out their vision, and then go about achieving them and bringing about change in their own lives, in their families, and then in their communities. But here I would now like to turn our attention towards the Northeastern region of India. More appropriate because we are sitting in Guwahati, which is also the gateway to the whole of the Northeast. So as we know, it's quite well known that this whole region has got a lot of variation, whether it is the people, whether it is the socio-economic context, whether it is the topography, whether it is the political context. There are a lot of variations here. Considering these variations, I understand there is a lot of work that has already happened in the Northeastern states as far as the promotion of cluster level federations is concerned. But my area of interest, and I think even the people who are logging into this podcast, would be what kind of support can the states expect, the states in the Northeastern region can expect from the National Mission Management Unit of the National Rural Livelihoods Mission, which they can use to mobilize and empower strong and create these strong women-led, women-governed cluster level federation and convert them into the first batch of immersion sites from wherein they can take those lessons and strengthen the remaining cluster level federations. So what could be the areas where the NRLM the National Mission Management Unit can support states?
There was always a special attention towards Northeastern states when all these states started their SRLMs. Starting from when they started this SRLMs till now, like initially for all the states there are some state anchor already assigned, and also for different thematics there are anchor person assigned for all the themes for all the states. But specifically, as these Northeastern states started the journey a little later, 1 or 2 years later than other states. So from there itself, there was a dedicated support starting from how should be the resources, like the HR structure, supporting them in developing those and taking them. nurturing them. So from there itself, there was a dedicated support. Also finance, if we see in fund perspective, then there is a special package that was there for Northeastern states, and anyways it's the ratio is 90:10 for central and state share. So that is one type of support is already there. And then looking into the next part is like, okay, now the people are there, their capacity building. So from there, from the very beginning, support of resource person from national level were provided to Northeastern states. Even I can also say that this was the first time when national resource person started providing support to NRLM. So it started with Northeastern states. So though this Northeastern states started a little late, but it was a boon for them because they got those resources, as well as they also got the experience from other states. When I say experience, some negative experience for other states, which was learning, this was already there, and along with them, how to build on the institution from the beginning, because inside the states also there was a negative experience. So to learn from them and to start from them. We also understand that there is not much of expert organization working in this Northeastern region who are working with such women-led federation. So this is a lacuna, but then there are some organizations like SeSTA, like other SDS or other organizations who are supporting. So this SRLM started taking their support also initially. In addition to that, NRLM has also designated few SRLMs who were the beginner in NRLM as National Resource Organization. And in the beginning stage of the SRLMs of these Northeastern states, those NROs or National Resource Organization has helped the SRLMs in mobilizing people into SHG fold and also developing the first cadre pool, community cadre pool. So that was the first support which they got in terms of mobilization. And then the next one is also like in terms of knowledge support. There are states who have certain like exposure visit sites where not only the mission staff but also the community, that is the leaders of the community as well as the community cadres, they go for exposure visit, learn how they are doing it there, and then come back and contextualize with the current any state, particular state situation, and then adapt it as required. So these are in different aspects how we are supporting the, especially the any states who are the beginner in this NRLM context.
So Jui, the northeastern states, there are a lot of experienced as well as expert agencies who have a long history of mobilizing communities, mobilizing women. How do you propose that the SRLMs in their journey of mobilizing these kind of strong, self-governed, self-reliant organization, how do they take advantage of this experience which is already there in the region? What would you suggest?
Yeah, there are in Northeast initially, but then first I'll come to the overall country, how it is helping us. There are many states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, UP, MP, some more. Other than Northeast, they are already taking support of organization like Pradhan and TRIF in this. Similarly, in Northeast also, they are like Tripura, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Arunachal, Manipur. They all are taking support of different organizations here. So they started like even from formation of SHG till formation of, and then going ahead, they are taking support of all this organization. They are this support are being taken in terms of resource person who are training the newly joined mission staff, and then developing some training material, and then helping them in developing systems and how those systems to be implemented, how CLF can use those systems in day-to-day life. In all these things, they are supporting, because ultimately our objective is to make the system or processes or any such thing in a such simple and easy way that the rural community can use it when they are running their daily function in their daily function and running their institution as a whole. So like we have examples from, I can say, from Tripura, where the leaders are trained on how to select their community cadres. So they are demonstrated, and then they do it by themselves, where through different small games they understand that whether that person will be suitable for this particular position or not, whether they are really in need of this work or not. So like these are some small games through which they themselves understand. So now they are not dependent on mission staff or someone else to identify their cadres. They can do it themselves. There are 2 points in that. One, they have that skill to do it themselves, they have that confidence. And second, as the community cadre now knows that they are deploying them, they are identifying them, so they know that now they are accountable to this EC or OB, who will be later on also paying them. So this both understanding of the EC, what is their role, and the cadre that whom they will be reporting is very important. So now they know that they are doing it by themselves. Similarly, like when we talk about formation of CLF, cluster level federation, which the main thing is ownership of those community who will be running it and taking it ahead. So it is very important they have their own vision. So there is a vision building exercise which is done in the beginning of formation of CLF. Now initially those were also demonstrated by the resource person initially, and the staff, mission staff would learn from them and do it. But then when the numbers are increasing, it is again to reduce the dependency. For example, Nagaland, they have, with support of resource person, they have developed a series of videos through which now even the new staff who are coming, they can go through the module and they can see the video and they can learn how to facilitate that. So in this way, it is reducing the dependency and like making the system and the processes easier to understand, that they can take it ahead. Similarly, Arunachal Pradesh have such similar tools for CLF meeting processes, through which not only the staff understand how to facilitate, but also looking at those videos. And there are some other tools also, like some games, through which the EC understand what are the do's and don'ts during the meeting process. So like, taking support of this expert organization in first of all capacity building of the mission staff, and then developing such systems and processes in a simpler way, will be really helping and is really helping the Northeastern state to go ahead. And thus they are also demonstrating such thing to the bigger state. Like as on date, it is only being happening here. The bigger states are taking this example and they are also following it because they have big numbers. So they also have such challenges. So yeah, that is a way how they are taking support of this expert organization.
So it was quite fascinating and interesting to hear you talk about the fact that there have been a lot of experiences across the country, and then there are a lot of expert agencies which are assisting the SRLMs in their states so that they're able to, together they're able to achieve this dream of mobilizing strong, self-reliant, self-governed cluster level federations. And the same holds true for the Northeastern region also, wherein there are organizations like SeSTA and SDS and other organizations who can, help the state missions in their journey towards forming these strong, self-reliant, self-governed organizations. And also interesting to note that, which you very rightly pointed out, that the whole journey is about simplification. And it is about how do we make elaborate systems simple enough for the executive committee members or the leaders of these federations to use them. Also, prepare these second generation of mentors, young mentors from these states itself, who can then carry the torch forward. So that is a place or a space where you see organizations can play a major role with their own long-standing experience of having, mobilized such organizations through the years. So that's quite nice, and that's quite. I think it should be very informative for the missions to listen to this perspective. But this brings me to the next area, which would be good for all of us to understand, is that now that the NRLM has decided that immersion sites, as far as cluster level federations go, are the way to go ahead. What are the future plans for these cluster level federations? One, you've said that immersion sites need to be established. What else? Where do you think this work spilling over into?
Yeah, so when we talk about immersion sites, so it is visualized in a way that the CLF will be working towards giving a better life to the member, that is a woman, and that is affected by different factors, not only financial factors but also education, health, their rights and entitlements, and all other things. So even the immersion site advisory is designed in a way where where different indicators are taken care of. So not only how the institution function, like their basic norms on meetings, attendance, repayment, how it is happening, but also how they are taking care of the health need of the members and their family members, and like any social, if there is any social work which needs to be done, there are some. For example, they need to work on cleanliness, they need to work on environment, they need to work on certain evils in the social society. So are they working on those? Then how they're working on the health, how they're working on the livelihoods of not only bringing them in certain activity but also enhancing their livelihood activities. So all these are taken care of there. On the other hand, other thematics of NRLM are also developing certain immersion sites. Like there are immersion sites for gender, where it shows how that mechanism, those systems are there. There are immersion sites for FNHW, there are immersion sites for PRI-CBO convergence, and all these things. So what we are advising is like the Model CLF immersion site, the CLF we are identifying for the same, please also make those Model CLF immersion sites for gender, health, PRI-CBO convergence, etc. So in that case, when someone comes and see, they will get all these systems in the same CLF. They can see it there and in a simplified way, so that with lesser expenditure and effort, they can learn from it together. And if we can do that, then only we will achieve our objective, because ultimately we feel that we have to exit one day, and this how we are supporting now, they will be supporting their members and institutions, so they will be functioning in the similar way. This will only happen if we can ensure this integration in a simpler way. So that is what we are looking into and expecting that in near future we'll get some CLF, at least a handful, starting definitely some from the Northeastern state, which will be demonstrating all this behavior there.
So I hear you say two things in your response. First is that there is an effort to look at it a little holistically, wherein the CLF leads the action. So it's, if I were to term it, it would be like CLF-led socio-economic development, where the CLF is at the center and all other actions are happening around it. And the other point that you've made is that there is a distinct effort at creating these kind of immersion sites which have a very clear thematic grounding. So there are some immersion sites on food, nutrition, health and wash. There are some immersion sites on livelihoods, and similarly there are some immersion sites on which are specifically sort of demonstrating the work on rights and entitlements. So and gender, yes, that's very important, because that is a major issue across the country. So that's the sense that I got from you. and which brings me, and I mean, I realize that there is a lot of, again, I mean, there's a lot of action which is happening all around the country, especially also now that you have spelled out what is happening and what is going to happen in the Northeastern states. I'd like to bring a new aspect to this discussion, and which is, I think, an important one, because any development action, or for that matter, any action in the society, sustains itself when there is adoption or participation of the youth in that movement or in that action. Youngsters who are seeing this podcast, there is this general question which might come to their minds, is that how can I participate in this process? Is there any way wherein I can come in? Could be as a volunteer. Would be great if there are any career options for youngsters within these state missions who are doing such great work for the society. What would be great to pick your brains for on that topic. How do you think that pans out? Or are there any examples where this has happened?
Yes, so there is a huge scope actually for this youth in this NRLM, and especially this Northeastern state have also opened this scope. Like almost all the Northeastern states, if we see, like starting with Meghalaya, Tripura, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, Sikkim, in all these states, actually Arunachal Pradesh, they have taken these youngsters who are actually working on field, and they are doing very good job. Actually, they are doing fabulous job, and even they, and there is no condition that only from certain background people can come here. So it's open for any graduate. They are joining in this SRLMs and learning this sector, and they are very happily supporting the community to come up and doing this great job. So we have seen this example. We have lots example from all this Northeastern stage, and this once again prove that development is a combination of heart and brain. So the right brain with the right heart, they want to do this, and they are doing wonders. So we have lots of such examples here. Not only as a full-time job, there are also SRLMs like Tripura or so who are taking interns, who are doing internship in NRLM or certain short-term projects also. This is generating within them some interest about NRLM. They are learning more. Wheresoever they will go, they will also help in, ultimately they will work in this sector. So it will also help. Secondly, the YP policy, Young Professional Policy, it is since initial phase of NRLM, which started initially in other states, but Northeastern states are also doing it. So ultimately we can see that there are huge scope for the youngsters who really want to work in this, and they are doing wonders. So even there are people who are also doing freelancer, they want to come and volunteer, they're also doing this. So it's all open, and they are the people who will be helping us in future to take it ahead. So as you have mentioned that young generation have a big role to play, yes, we also believe that they have remarkable role to play, and they are playing in NRLM. So yeah, that's it.
So yeah, it's quite exciting to listen to you when you say that the Northeastern states have played a major role, and in fact have given that space to youngsters in their recruitment. And now they're also opening their doors towards internships, wherein youngsters can come in, take up small assignments and then go back to their own jobs or wherever they're working. So it gives them a sort of an opener to this sector. And as we all know that these challenges are quite complex, and it requires the best of the minds, and it also requires a lot of innovations to address these challenges, and no one better than youngsters to come up with new innovative ideas. So that's quite exciting. And I think I was also involved very recently with Arunachal Pradesh, where they had for the first time done the whole recruitment process or major part of it online. So yes, there are, as you correctly said, there are a lot of opportunities for youngsters to join in and work in this sector, whether full-time, whether part-time. But yes, there's a lot of space, and there is a lot of need also for the youngsters to join in. That's very encouraging to hear. Both SeSTA and LIVESSCAPE have been playing an important role in helping the SRLMs in making their processes more community friendly and simplifying their systems and processes so that we can facilitate this journey of the woman from being a beneficiary to a member to an owner. For example, SeSTA is the technical agency for most states in the Northeastern region, whereas LIVESSCAPE has been helping out states like Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Tripura, Nagaland in simplifying their systems, simplifying their processes so that the women leaders can really use them and we can bring or usher in sustainability in the whole process. I would like to thank Jui for giving her time from from her very busy schedule. She was in Shillong for the last 5 days, and now from here she's directly going right to the other corner of the country, to Udaipur in Rajasthan. So thank you, Jui, for giving us so much time from your
pleasure.
busy schedule.
My pleasure being the guest here in this podcast. I wish a very best to both SeSTA and LIVESSCAPE for the future, and I also expect that we'll work more into this area to come up with new aspects and innovation in this area. Thank you.
And yes, for the next episode, we will be getting another thought leader from the development sector to share his or her thoughts, perspectives, and challenges. Till then, stay tuned.